What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to a new video. So as you can tell by the title, today's video is going to be all about intermittent fasting. I wanted to sit down and film this video with you today because I get a lot of questions on my Instagram all about how I intermittent fast, why, if I've seen benefits or not. So I just wanted to sit down and kind of explain everything to you guys. So I've written some notes here so I don't forget anything. I'm always afraid when I do sit down videos that I'm going to forget something super important. So I've tried to write down everything that I wanted to talk to you about. Before I start, I do just want to mention that a lot of the stuff I've learned is from Dr. Jason Fung's The Complete Guide to Fasting book. I have read this whole thing for fun and I have some pages marked for things that I don't want to forget to tell you guys about today. Before all that, I just kind of want to talk about my journey with intermittent fasting. So about 2 years ago during the summer is when I kind of started watching a lot of videos about intermittent fasting, and I decided to try it out for myself. It was one of those things at the time that it got super trendy and people would do it for YouTube. I tried intermittent fasting for a week or for a day or for however long. So when I first started it 2 years ago, it was kind of just because everybody else was doing it. But I honestly did start noticing differences, and then when I read this and understood why I was seeing these differences, I just stuck to it and I've been doing it ever since. So it's been about 2 years. But it has been on and off over the last 2 years. So when I'm home for the summer, I usually stick to intermittent fasting really well. But then when I go back to school, it's kind of more of a struggle. So let me explain the method that I do real quick. So the fasting that I do is the 16-8 method. So you fast for 16 hours and then you eat for 8 hours. And my feeding period for me is typically 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then I fast from 7 p.m. to 11 a.m. So you're fasting for 16 hours and you're eating in an 8-hour window. But like I said, when I go back to school, I struggle with it a little bit and I'm not super strict about it because of classes and labs, it's really hard to try to fit your meals in that 8-hour window. For the most part, I would wait till 11 a.m. to eat, but I never stopped at 7 p.m. at school because I sometimes would be in the library till 11 or 12 at night. And then 3 days a week, I have lab from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. and you cannot eat in lab. So that takes up 3 hours that I would be eating meals and snacks. So yeah, I don't stick to it perfectly when I'm at school, but when I'm home for the summer, I try to stay on my 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. feeding window. But as you guys know, I'm not super strict on anything that has to do with food or working out because I don't think it's healthy. So if I'm really hungry at 9 a.m., I'll eat. If I'm really hungry at 10 p.m. I'll eat, but for the most part I try to stay between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. That is kind of my strategy. So as far as types of intermittent fasting goes, there's a bunch of different types. I think the 16-8 method is the most common because it's kind of the easiest one to fit into your daily schedule. There's also a 12-12 method, so eat for 12 hours, fast for 12 hours, but I feel like a lot of people do this in general. I feel like that one's a little bit easier if you've never done this before, so maybe eat from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and then don't eat again until the next day at 8 a.m. There's also an every other day method, which I would never do. So kind of eat for 24 hours, fast for 24 hours. I would never do that, and everybody makes fun of me for this, but breakfast is my favorite part of the day. I just find a lot of enjoyment in food throughout the day, so I wouldn't want to wake up one day knowing oh, I'm not going to eat till tomorrow and have that happen every other day. I would just not do that. Meals are my relaxation time, so I'll do a bunch of YouTube work or school work, and then whenever I have my meal or my snack, that is my break from work. So I wouldn't do the every other day method personally, but maybe that's something you would want to try out. Another method is the OMAD method, 1 meal a day. So you pretty much just shove all 2,000 or 3,000 calories that you want for that day into one meal. I could not do that. I could not have enough food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks and eat it all at once personally. So those are all the types of intermittent fasting. There's also extended fasting, so you can fast for 24, 48, 72 and on hours if you feel like it. But that's extended fasting, not intermittent fasting. I've never done that, so I'm just going to be talking mainly about intermittent fasting today. So before I explain to you the benefits of intermittent fasting, I kind of want to talk to you about what happens within your body when you eat food. Like I said, I've learned all this from Dr. Jason Fung's book. So when you eat, your insulin levels rise, and there's 2 different ways that insulin uses the food you've just eaten. So first, it kind of allows your body to start using the food that you just ate for energy that your body needs to function. After it's done that, it uses the rest of the calories you've eaten and stores it away. And then there's 2 ways it can be stored away. So first, glycogen is stored in your liver, but there's only a certain amount of glycogen that can be stored in your liver. So once that limit has been reached, then the rest of it is stored as fat. And the reason why people become overweight is because there is a limit on how much glycogen you can store in the liver, but there is not a limit on how much fat you can store within your body past that. And so when you're trying to lose weight, Dr. Fung kind of explains it as the fridge that's in your kitchen and then the freezer that's in the basement. So whenever you first start to exercise, your body's going to take out what's readily available. So what's in the kitchen, in the fridge, it's not going to directly go to the freezer in the basement, which is your fat in this scenario. It's not really until you've stopped eating for a while that your body can take the time to get past whatever in the fridge in the kitchen and go down to the freezer in the basement. So that is why fasting is so beneficial, because when you don't eat, your body is not producing insulin. So your body has time to kind of catch up and burn the glycogen that it's stored in your liver. And then if you keep on fasting, it can start to use the energy that it's stored as fat, which is down in the basement. I hope that made sense. That is kind of why fasting is so beneficial for fat loss. So I'm going to put a picture on the screen right here of what I'm looking at right now. So this is pretty much showing you in the top diagram what most people do is, you know, eating from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Your body is constantly producing insulin and storing fat. The 16-hour fast, which is what I do, there's less time in the day for your body to be producing insulin. And it's kind of labeling it as lunch and dinner, but it's just showing you that like there's only 8 hours where your body's producing insulin rather than 12 on the top one. And then, oh, I guess this was a fasting method that I missed out on earlier. I guess some people do 20-hour fasting and eat for 4 hours. So then there's even less time during the day when their body is producing insulin. So now you can kind of see why, after I explain what happens to your body when you eat and looking at this diagram, why intermittent fasting can be so beneficial to burn excess fat that's being stored on your body. And one myth that I kind of want to bust real quick before people ask me about it is fasting burns your muscles. This is just kind of absurd. Our body uses food as fuel, and then when there's no food in us, it uses fat as fuel. Unless you've gotten down to like 2 or 0% body fat, your body is not gonna take muscle as an energy source. That's just not its preferred source of energy. So an example my dad likes to use is lions. They only may get like 1 to 2 catches or meals per week. They are so muscular if you look at them. There's not any fat on them. So basically what I'm trying to say is, after they eat, whenever they're running around or pretty much just doing anything, their body is taking energy from the food they just ate, not from their muscle. Again, I hope that makes sense. I'm kind of using crazy ideas to try to explain it to you guys because that's how it's been explained to me. And the last thing I want to tell you guys before I end this video is that it's free, it's convenient, and it's really simple. You don't have to buy some like Weight Watchers plan or Jenny Craig, is that her name? Or Atkins diet. You don't have to spend any money to start intermittent fasting. It's very simple. You just don't eat and then you eat. You don't eat and then you eat. There's no like crazy meal plan you have to follow, and it's convenient. If you like to work out really early in the morning and you don't want to make a meal before that, then you don't have to. Or if you work a 9 to 5 and you don't want to take breakfast and lunch and snacks, maybe you can just take like one meal for the day, and then when you get home you can eat the rest of your calories. I'm kind of doing that right now. I've been babysitting from like 8 to 3, but I don't eat till 11, so I don't have to take breakfast and lunch and snacks. I take my breakfast and then a snack because my breakfast really isn't until 11 a.m. So yeah, it's really convenient and flexible. Like I said, some days I eat from 11 to 7, and if I'm hungry or earlier, then I'll eat from like 10 to 6, and then the next day, if I'm super busy until noon, then I'll eat from 12 to 8. So it's really flexible. You can move it all around throughout the day and you're still gonna get really great benefits from it, like when you're fasting. And the last thing I wanna touch on is that it works with any diet. So Dr. Jason Fung is actually using intermittent fasting and fasting methods to treat his diabetic patients. So he wants to keep them on a low carb or keto diet, which you can do with intermittent fasting. If you're dairy free, you can do it. Gluten free, you can do it. Vegetarian, vegan, you can do it. If you're low fat, you can do it. You can fit whatever diet you're doing into your feeding window and still fast. And then a few tips I just want to leave you with real quick are, when you're fasting, drink lots of water. I think I drink like 90 ounces before I eat in the morning. Try to keep yourself busy with work or working out or something to where you're not thinking about food. I remember the first day that I did intermittent fasting a few years ago, I woke up and I was just like, just thinking about breakfast forever, and now I don't even think about it. Right now it's like 9:45. I'm not even thinking about food because I'm doing stuff. You can drink coffee during your fast, tea during your fast if you're feeling a little bit tired. Just don't add any creamers and milks in it if you really want a pure fasting period. Try to follow a nutritious diet. I know fasting will work for anybody, but it will help if you're eating healthier. I know intermittent fasting will help anybody lose weight no matter what you're eating, just because of what I explained earlier on how your body works when you're fasting. But to get great results and what I think you're looking for, try to follow a nutritious diet. I've posted many full day of eating videos on my YouTube channel if you're interested in knowing what I eat. And then the last thing I want to tell you is just give yourself a month. Don't be one of those people that tries it for a day or tries it for a week. That's not enough time for your body to adjust. Give yourself an entire month and definitely let me know how it goes if you do. But that is it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, or if you learned anything, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.